All aboard your tech and games caboose. We have some HoloLens 2 from Microsoft for businesses, as well as some Nubia, the smartphone watch, as well as some 1 terabyte micro SD cards from Mobile World Congress. So let's jump into the HoloLens 2. If you want to escape reality, then Microsoft has basically got you covered here. So this is a big improvement over the first gen. There's twice the degree field of view, so 53-degree field of view. So that's pretty much improved. It has a 2K resolution, somewhere around 2000 to 1500 it looks like. And let's check out some of the actual demos and the VR stuff going on. The augmented reality. So here is some hand tracking. It has a hand tracking 6-degree field of view, so you can get some around display basically. So there's a bunch of other cool things that this can do. At 111 we get to see some actual holograms and some spatial apps going on, and she can basically touch the whole box and everything around it, as well as do some extra things like, wait for it, adjusting it. And then you can rotate it and do a bunch of other stuff. This is the spatial app. You can do some other stuff with this. And then she plays around with a bunch of different apps. And here is some browser stuff. You can actually use voice commands as well as hand tracking and everything to actually call stuff over to you. There's some voice commands that also you can do. And let's jump over to the playground part, where we get some more interesting things. So here's a bunch of different sliders to control this wind farm basically demo thing. So there were some sliders, there was some pinch to grab and to move things over, as well as there's some button different type layout stuff that they showed different style things you could do. It got pretty interesting. This is a whole 10-minute video by Upload VR, so you can check out this whole thing, but it's pretty interesting. So other little quick parts with the hand tracking. There is some good piano playing going on. So you can not just do one keys, but you can play a bunch of keys at the same time. And then it gets pretty good. And then she does a little tune here. Dun, dun. So pretty good hand tracking, I would have to say. And then it gets really festive right there. And then there is some more stuff going on with this quick demo, some more things to point out. Some eye tracking. So right here, they are actually scrolling down this web browser and with their eyes basically. So pretty cool. Hand tracking, eye tracking, a little bit of voice commands and everything going on. So that is quite a bit to do. And then they're doing some more spatial demo stuff. And here is some holograms of people. So it's just a 2D photo rendered into a 3D view. So right now these are 2 people in 2 different locations, and they're seeing each other's holograms. So they can start to create a bunch of stuff that they're going to do in just a second. Let's jump to some of the toy stuff they start doing. So here's some interactive hologram stuff they can do. Here's a power board that they're using to have some things you can pin stuff to it, pictures, videos, and actual items it looks like. So pretty cool. And then with their phone, they can just make a little note and they can attach it to stuff. So attach stuff to a bunch of different things, work together. HoloLens 2 is looking pretty good. And one other little thing from this video, they can put their 2 little fingers up and do some search commands and get some cool sharks and stuff going on and some jellyfish, and then do a bunch of web browsing in card form, which pretty interesting, pretty good usages for this. There's also a bunch of business training stuff you can do with it. There's a bunch of different hospital medical stuff you can do. There's some remote stuff you can do, like tell people which cord you want to cut, and the red cord which it was pointing to. So you're going to need to cut that to disarm the explosives. So that gets pretty interesting. But other than that, HoloLens 2 spec-wise, again, 2K resolution, that's a 3:2 aspect ratio, and also eye-based rendering for 3D eye positioning. There's also with Windows Hello, you can get security by eye scanning and unlocks your device that way. And then there's a camera, so an 8-megapixel camera along with the hand tracking and a 6-degree field of view mapping, some accelerometers, depth with Azure Kinect sensors. There's a microphone, a 5-channel array of that. Built-in speakers, there's a little speaker on each side. You can see here some of the pictures up close of the device. And this gets pretty close. And right here is where these speakers are on the side. And then there's a little knob on the back to adjust everything. It's also way more comfortable and I believe a lot lighter than the earlier versions. They put the more of this stuff into the back so it was balanced out well, so maybe that could have a lot to do with the comfort. So pretty good hand tracking, eye tracking, voice commands. So a lot of different stuff going on here. Snapdragon 850 is what's powering all the cool reality stuff. And then Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB-C, single size, fits over top of glasses, so I could technically put it on too. So pretty good. A bunch of software to go with it. Edge, dynamic 365 remote assist, which leads us, I guess, into pricing for the device. This is business oriented, so it is going to be $3,500, which is less expensive than the original 5K version, $5,000 version. And there's also a lease version with $125 per month. So you have some other options there if you don't want to buy it outright and you just want to start developing on a budget. So pretty interesting reality stuff going on, mixed reality, and pretty good for the future. We'll have to wait till it comes down in price for regular consumers like you and I. So there's also some other stuff from Microsoft real quick, the Azure Kinect. This is pre-orderable as well. I believe that's coming out later this year, the Microsoft HoloLens 2, as well as this Azure Kinect DK. This is a depth sensing camera. It is $400 for this camera. This device has a microphone array as well. And this is a 12 megapixel RGB camera and a 1 megapixel depth camera. So you can do a bunch of different stuff with this, like some training stuff, as well as shopping experiences, and some health stuff you can also do. So right here, they are using this to detect falls before they even happen in some scenarios. Hospitals in the US, I believe they mentioned, were around 1 million falls per year, and then 11,000 of those were fatal. So this would be very good in hospitals and all the different use cases for this pretty interesting camera. So this is also, there's a discount for students, parents, and teachers, 10% off. So pretty cool for Microsoft doing 2 launches at Mobile World Congress. And some other tech, we have smartwatch phones that you can talk into. So this is Nubia Alpha. We get the full name, and we did a little video on this previously with some other details, but we'll go over it real quick because it has a date and some more aspects. So this is a 4-inch OLED screen. So it's a 960 by 192. So it's a long screen wrapped around your wrist a little, halfway around basically. So this is powered by a Snapdragon 2100 chip and a 1 gigs of RAM, 8 gigs of storage, and a 500 milliamp hour battery. And then there's 2 versions. There's the 4G version with the eSIM version, and then there is a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi version. So there's a little bit different prices on that. And then it has a 5 megapixel camera. You can take some nice selfies or flip your wrist around, take some pictures. And that leads us into some of the video stuff they show off. So there's also an 18 karat gold version. There's some air interaction mechanics with the camera. You can swipe without actually touching the screen. That's pretty interesting, I guess. And then a wearable wallet, so scans. There's some buttons. There's some wearable navigation you can do. And then wrist photography, so take some good pictures and then turn your wrist around, obviously, and take some other photos. And then there is a private mode where you can basically use earbuds and talk to people. There's 2 modes to call people. There's grab your left shoulder to talk, and then also grab your right shoulder, basically. You don't actually grab your shoulder, but that's beside the point. Here's the private mode for wireless earbuds. I think they have wireless earbuds as well. And then voice calling with the 4G model, and video calling, and some cool wrapping around text, and pretty cool. Some 18 karat gold version. So what are the prices for this, you ask? For a smartphone watch phone, pretty cool. And that is 450 euros in April. And that is, I believe, China first, and then in April, and then Europe Q3 and North America Q4 for this smartphone, smartwatch. Pretty interesting, pretty cool. And lastly, we have the 1 terabyte micro SD cards. So there are 2 of these. There's one from Micron and one from Western Digital. They showed these off at Mobile World Congress. And it's 1 terabyte in a small, tiny little itty bitty form factor. So SD cards are getting pretty impressive. So speeds, you probably are wondering, the Micron C200 version has a 100 megabyte per second read speed with 95 write. So that is getting pretty fast with a V30 video speed class. And then also we have the Western Digital, which is capable of 160 to 170 megabyte read and writes, but there's a catch, as this article notes right here, that the UHS-1 bus only supports 104 megabytes. So there are some phones apparently that can do the DDR200 transfer rates. So your mileage may vary depending on the phone you have that has that enabled or not. And so otherwise you're going to be getting 100 megabyte per second on the Western Digital SD card, and then around 30 read and writes for 100 megabytes. So pretty, here's a small little picture of it. And pricing for this is April is when it's launching for $450 for the Western Digital version. And the Micron doesn't have a date or price yet, but it's going to be competitive for target audience. So, and that'll be coming Q2. So you can have so many different music and videos now on your phones and other small devices. So pretty interesting from Mobile World Congress. A lot of cool phones, a lot of cool gadgets, some mixed reality headsets, HoloLens, and pretty good. And chat says, Hussey says, OMG, OMG, back to you. And we'll have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and games. We'll be getting back into games. So let's sign out. Pew, 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 pew.